What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night. Time to talk some Texans talking football. Obviously, we took the week off last week. BD wasn't feeling so great. Hopefully, you're feeling better. Looks like I might have a special guest host tonight. Hopefully,
Oh
he
yeah.
behaves. But which is tradition, always coming to you from someplace in San Antonio that had some kind of a meaningful location. Um, I am actually coming from, and I saw a couple of them that I liked, but I think I want to come from the Acadiana Cafe Studios. For those that may remember, may not remember, probably Acadiana Cafe was the closest thing we had to true Louisiana cooking here, and had some of the best fried gator I've ever had, even in Louisiana. So, you know, hats off, tear down, a little bit of sad moment, but lots of fun memories with Acadiana Cafe. And I heard
Very nice.
you have someplace special
I
to
do.
from too.
You said it's not always places from San Antonio. It's just kind of or things that aren't around anymore. So, today, I apologize in advance to all you Indiana Pacers fans, but today I'm going to be coming from the Tyrese Halliburton Achilles Studios.
Oh, dude, that's messed up. But that's still pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, I thought so. It was funny, and you know what? I feel bad for the kid. I was really rooting for the Pacers, but man, that was rough, and I couldn't miss up an opportunity for something like that. So, make sure you tell Coach to just listen in to this first little clip when you're at work tomorrow.
No doubt. I'll make sure to show him just so he has some tears coming down his face all day. But yeah, so lots to talk about. What's up, Robert? Good to see you, man.
How's it going, man?
Um, But lots going on. Obviously, we did not talk last week, which was right after the UFL championship game. I know we talked about it Horns Forward podcast last week. Kind of a surprising game, not gonna lie. I really thought that Michigan, based on that first quarter, that they kind of had it wrapped up pretty tight and had pretty much dominated everything. Oh, what's up? Look, it's a Vikings fan. What's up,
Oh,
buddy?
look, it's that guy.
Yep. And the other Robert is doing good as well. That's awesome. But again, thought, Detroit had that wrapped up pretty tight. And then uh DC, I say Detroit, Michigan, but it's Detroit. Um, then DC realized that they were in the championship game and made it look like they were in the championship game. It
Yeah.
was not so bueno.
No,
So
that second and third quarter was absolutely brutal. Uh, I mean, hell, I think DC scored what 31 points in that second quarter, more than we scored in a game the entire season. So yeah,
yeah, that's more than we scored. Take out the DC game, that's more than what we
yeah.
scored in
If
like
you take
four
take
games.
out both DC games and I think Michigan game because we scored 20 something then. I think yeah. Other than that, matched our scoring for the whole season.
Yeah, which is brutal, man. But it is what it is. The season is now over. Now we're back to the grind, right? Um, I've got to say that I am a little bit kind of, I don't know, not like I'm excited about the NFL season. I'm excited about college football. I'm excited about all of that. But I think because of the personal aspect and the connections that we've made and like how much the league gives back to us, part of it, maybe is because, we give so much to the league
Yeah.
and on the same token, force ourselves to be part of it, right? I mean, let's be honest. Um, but um having that connection and now that that's done, it's kind of like, meh, now we got to go back to just being regular fans,
Right.
so a little bit of a letdown, but I know I'll get excited once we get in the actual, training camps and preseason and
Oh yeah, I
everything.
mean we got a month until the training camps really start, and a month and a week until the first preseason game. It's pretty slow right now NFL wise. Once it starts ramping up, we'll get back into it like usual.
Yeah. And I know like the high schools are going to be starting their two-a-days real soon, and all that's going to be going down. So, we'll have plenty to talk about here. But Mike G, I posted that comment because Mike brings up a good question. How do you think the new viewers took to the game? And I'm assuming he's talking about the new viewers to the XF or
For the championship game, probably. I mean,
game.
it had I think the average was around 800,000 or 900,000. I think it peaked at like 1.23, 1.4, something like that. I forget what the actual viewing statistics were, but definitely, eyes that probably weren't usually on the game were there. I felt like it was a really entertaining game, even with the blowout that it was. Like, it was still entertaining. And uh even Michigan in that fourth quarter, they tried to make it a game. They made it a little more competitive in that fourth quarter, so people that were not really familiar with the league, not really familiar with the rules, they kind of got a chance to look at that with the 4th and 12, instead of the onside kicks, stuff like that you don't see in NFL college games. So new fans got to see something different and got to see the new part of the league. And like I said, I was really entertained by it, even in a blowout.
Yeah, it was a good game, and I'm sure it was a lot of fun. Uh, oh no, here we go. Uh, why'd you bring veggies to the get together?
You know what? Just because I felt bad that there was going to be, the pork belly burnt ends and brisket and all that stuff and all kinds of stuff. And poor Renee was going to have nothing to eat. So, I was thinking of the vegetarian slash vegan of the group.
Sure you were. Um, I will say that I mean I brought Wisconsin beer, right? Because that makes
I mean,
sense.
I brought beer too, so
Yeah, but you brought
I
that.
always bring beer.
Yeah, you brought that weird Texas beer. No, I'm kidding. It's good stuff. You can never mock Shiner. And Rankin, I, it's one of those happy sad moments. To be honest, I love Jair Alexander as a player, um, but with the issues with injury and things like that, it was kind of one of those things where it's kind of rough.
Dang.
You hate to say goodbye to a fan favorite, but we're about to say goodbye to Robert Rankin here in a second too. So it all works out. Uh, Rankin's just saying that because he's got nothing to hang his hat on. And look right
Yeah.
there, pasta and queso. That's fine for the veggie eater too, except for I think the queso comes from an animal, and if she was a true hardcore like vegan, then there'd be no queso and stuff like
But
that.
she's like vegetarian plus.
Yeah, it doesn't have a brain stem, so technically, she could cook up Robert be just fine. Um,
Damn.
um. Anyways, so we're not here to bag on Robert. That would be mean, right?
We're
Because it's
not.
going to take. Well, no, it's going to take 5 minutes for his response from the time we say something to the time it pops up in the chat over there. So that's just not fun. Anyways, but yeah, so the UFL game was pretty good. I do definitely want to talk about the awards because we talked about it a little bit 2 weeks ago, and see, like it finally just showed up. See what I mean? So that's not fun. Anyways, um, I want to make sure that we talk about the awards, which I'm trying to find those on the UFL page. But I also want to talk about, all the players that have been signed so far uh, to an NFL contract. And it doesn't mean that they're going to be on a squad. It just basically means that they get an opportunity. But the most recent one, which would have been today, offensive tackle for DC, Yasser Durant, got an offer. Well, he signed a contract with the Patriots.
Okay.
So now this is the guy that did earn all UFL honors for the offensive line, and he was originally with the Kansas City Chiefs back in 2020. Appeared in all 11 games. Doesn't mean he started. but he definitely appeared in them. And then went to the Patriots in 21, was cut after 7 games. Now he's back with the Patriots. So hopefully his time in the UFL will have done what it needed to do, help kind of sharpen his skills and get him a better opportunity, maybe beyond the practice squad, maybe even third string, second string. And because we know how tough it is to get good offensive linemen in the first place. And, teams tend to kind of stash, the best that they can away for just that very reason. Because if one goes down, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right. I wish San Antonio would have done that during the regular UFL season. I think we would have had a much better season.
Well,
But
you only got 50 men on your roster, so you kind of got to be a little strategic with your choices or who you get. So I mean, but yeah, our offensive line definitely could have used some help. But
yes.
we're talking about players signing. Obviously San Antonio, Corbin signed with the Falcons. He was the first UFL player to sign with a NFL team. And then I know the Cowboys actually picked up defensive lineman Perry and Winfrey from the Stallions. So hopefully, see him do some good stuff.
Yeah.
And then you saw something I was interested. The first kicker, the Stallions kicker, old thicker kicker, signed with the Jets. I'm really surprised Blankenship wasn't the first kicker signed from the UFL.
Yeah, that actually does kind of surprise me. Just with as well as he did.
As well as he did, and I mean, with he had several years of previous NFL experience, so I really thought he would have been the first kicker signed to an NFL roster.
Yeah. Now, Robert, if they are, this is the first that I'm hearing anything about it. I've not heard a whole bunch of rumblings about the UFL doing any kind of free agency type system. Anything's possible, really. But I've not heard anything that confirmed that. That would be something worth looking into, however. And maybe if some other people have actually heard anything, maybe have some links to articles, that would be awesome. Share that in the chat for the rest of the group. But that would be an interesting take on the UFL, because I think a lot of it is really kind of structured around coaches kind of having their own choices, not necessarily the players. you know but while we're kicking that around, it's also worth mentioning that our own Mariachi Brahma, his most favorite player in the entire world,
Yep.
has been signed by the Cleveland Browns. Mr. Sal Cannella is getting an opportunity with the Browns. So here we go. Mike G is saying that if you've been on a team for more than two seasons, you get a potential opportunity to be a free agent.
That'd be
That's going to be
interesting take.
yeah.
So
That would be extremely interesting, especially for our guys, right? Wow. I'm not even going to post that comment. We're just moving on. Let's see who else. The
the
Texans
article that I found only goes up to June 20th, so I'm missing a few days for my player signed.
Oh, it goes back even further. If you go to PFN Newsroom, this one's interesting, and I'm excited to watch this one. Here, real quick, disclaimer, not official, folks. It's just talk right now. But the Texans actually signed the Houston Roughnecks cornerback, Damon Arnett.
I did. I did see that. I saw Rig and the Predator couple. I saw them post that.
Right. This one I will share. Saints apparently signed the Stallions offensive tackle Barry Wesley, which good for him. I know the offensive line was pretty strong for last year, or this last season rather. And let's see if we can grab a couple more.
Well, there you go. Rick Krabby put a link in the chat. So
there you go.
We'll go check that out.
Saints also signed the Renegades tight end Seth Green, which that could potentially be an opportunity for them as well. Broncos signed the cornerback Mario Goodrich from the Stallions, and you were talking about the kickers, right? Harrison Mevis from Stallions got signed by the Jets, which
Yeah.
I feel bad for him. And then we get to just I can't say it right. We got to Corbin,
Jay Sean Corbett.
which there you go, Jay Sean Corbin. I don't know why I couldn't say it. A little bit of a mental lock there. Um, but hopefully,
And
Corbin realizes how bad Atlanta is, and he goes to a real team. That would be
that's
nice.
just players signed. Like there's still a lot more that are working out with other teams.
Mhm.
So we're hopefully we'll see a lot more signed here and there.
Yeah. As we get closer to training camp and stuff, you'll probably see a lot more pickups and a lot more movement and whatever. And then preseason is when you're going to see kind of, some of those final moves and final cuts and stuff. And hopefully none of our guys come back to us, but if they do, that's an opportunity for them to just
Yeah.
sharpen up a little bit more and maybe make a better impact on, their opportunities in the league. But all that being the case, yeah, there were some great opportunities here that again the UFL has created a transition from that kind of developmental league to NFL ready guys. I do hope that the UFL kind of paid attention this year to the condition that some of the players are in by the end of the
Yeah.
season and the championship game, and realize that maybe moving the game back up to February right after the Super Bowl may not be such a bad idea. And the girlfriend's giving me a hard time, sorry. But maybe realize the importance of giving them that little extra buffer of time to try and heal up from some of those nagging injuries so they have a better chance when it comes to the training camps and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Even if
We'll see.
it's just a couple weeks to a month, just kind of just some downtime for these players just to recover, like you said, man. I mean,
Yep.
nobody goes through any type of football season without aches, pains, nagging injuries, something. Knees are sore, ankles are sore, all that stuff. You need a little bit
Yep.
of downtime just so your body can heal. And
Yeah.
it'd be great if they had that before these players go to tryouts and training camps and OTAs and all that stuff. So
Well, that's weird. I'm sorry. I was looking at some of the what's up, Woody? We'll ignore the cacaw part, but no. How you doing, man? Good to see you. I think I can't see I mean, I can see it's from Facebook and I can see the profile picture, but I can't zoom in on it. But I feel like we met Woody in St. Louis. And if not, let's make sure to meet up this next year.
yep.
Um, but no, so I was on the UFL website trying to look at some of the awards and everything, and I could have sworn they'd already been announced, but so they're not showing the coach of the year, they're showing the assistant coach of the year, but they're not showing coach of the year, they're not showing the MVP, which I thought the MVP was what's his
So yeah,
name?
they have it. I'm on the UFL site. I'm on the news page, whatever. But you got to click to like the second page of it. Shannon Harris was coach of the year, which I think we both
Okay.
picked that one. And then yeah, they had the assistant coach of the year. Peta for the St. Louis, he was the defense player of the year. That's who I picked.
Yeah.
Bryce Perkins was named offensive player of the year. I think we were right about that. Whitehead was the special teams player of the year. I don't remember who you picked. I picked Wing because I was being a homer.
Yeah.
And then I think the one that was really a surprise was obviously Perkins getting the MVP as well as the offensive player of the year.
No.
And I really, I think in the championship game, Teamu and the defenders kind of took that personally. They made a point
Obviously.
every time Teamu threw a touchdown, they were chanting MVP on the sidelines. So
Yeah.
obviously they were kind of pissed off about that. And I think that's kind of, what gave him a little more fight to give him that extra little bit of edge in the championship game. So,
Yeah.
I thought Tamu was going to win MVP. As I said before, I did not think Perkins played enough in the season to earn it. If he had played the whole season, then I thought he would have been overwhelming the MVP. But I just didn't think he played enough to get that. But
Yeah.
the voters thought otherwise.
Yeah. Well, and it certainly wasn't up to us, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
nobody asked me what my opinion was in the for the vote. So
no, no, we don't get a choice at all. Man, they've got the a picture on the UFL news page, and it's Moose Johnson with Danny Garcia, and some of the other folks, um, Russ Brandon.
mm-hmm.
Um, anyways, I can't help but looking at Moose Johnson's pinky. For some reason, I'm always drawn to it because it's so jacked up, dude.
Yeah,
You
well,
know, I
you
feel
play
so
as hard
bad
as
for
he
the
did
guy.
for as long as he did. That's what happens.
I still think if you had the money, you would get it fixed. You know what I mean? Maybe he can't. Maybe it's just that damaged. So now it's all, take
that's a
my
battle
little
scar right
pinky.
there. You know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, so yeah, that's kind of where we landed. And the all UFL team is out there somewhere. I don't know why it wasn't on, directly on the UFL page, but the all UFL team is out there. And I know some of our guys even made it.
Yeah,
Uh,
we had Corbin, we had Beckett, and Wing all make the all UFL team.
yeah. So good stuff from the UFL. It's, sad that it's over, but it's time to kind of start looking forward because we do have other leagues that are going on right now and things are starting to wrap up. And one thing that should probably be wrapped up is the Gunslingers IFL season this year. Because,
Well,
right, we took the last 2 week. Well, we took last week off. So that was two games we didn't get to cover. And those two games they didn't cover either, unfortunately.
yeah,
So
they weren't covering either. So
no. So unfortunately, the Gunslingers are now 3-9, which is tied for third worst in the league. Uh, only basically muscling out Iowa and Northern Arizona by about 2 games. So I'm not exactly sure what happened this year. I mean, we've talked about it before with the coaching change
there's
and
multiple
losing.
quarterback changes.
Yeah.
It's just one of those
Well,
kind of like the Brahmas. Just the season was not meant to be. So
yeah. And it really kind of started with losing Castronova in the offseason, right?
yeah,
That's, I think, where things really started kind of falling apart. Because I really do think Castronova is that glue, that adhesive that really kind of held the team together last year.
and
And then
you're right, but the uh well, I guess we'll talk about him a little bit with our next league, but he did okay in the league that he went to.
you think? I think he's doing just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so San Antonio, unfortunately, again, 2 games that they dropped. The nice thing is that I believe it's this week. This weekend they get a chance to rest, and
They
they get
have a bye
a,
week, so hopefully they win that one. I mean, Vegas odds are kind of it's a toss up, so we'll see.
yeah, it's about 50-50 right now that they might lose the off or the bye week, but hopefully they'll get it together. The one nice thing though is that they'll be back home on July 5th to face the Tucson Sugar Skulls. So potentially we may be going to a game, you know? It just all depends. That is the birthday weekend. And I do always tend to make big celebrations out of it, right? I love the Great American Birthday. Couple of years ago, I did go down to Corpus Christi, and we took in a Corpus Christi Hooks ball game. Was absolutely not. We're not here to talk about baseball. Hola, amigo. ¿Qué pasó? Um, And that's about it from Duolingo, by the way. Um,
2 years. That's all you got.
that's all I got. 2 years. Well, I can ask where the bathroom is. Also, that's about it. Um, we took in a Corpus Christi Hooks game. Again, not here to talk about baseball, but I was absolutely blown away by Whataburger Field, and I hate to say it, but it really is nicer than Nelson Wolf. You
Oh
know,
yeah, but
so
Nelson Wolf
hopefully
is like 80 years old, so
it is. It is. I
the
mean,
stadium, not Nelson Wolf himself. Which I don't. Is he even still alive? I don't know.
Nelson Wolf would be like 89 years old. You
Yeah.
know, I think he helped build the stadium. That's why they named it after him. Anyways, that's kidding. Nelson wouldn't is not alive. Um, but I would say uh the look, we're talking about food and stuff. And Woody, yeah, it's the Tucson Sugar Skulls. So Tucson, Arizona, right? Big southwestern culture, which is kind of a mix between Native American and Hispanic and American culture. And so you've got a lot of the, just like and Jackie probably could explain a little bit better than the gringo would. Um, but just kind of honoring the dead through the sugar skulls and the painted skulls and all that good stuff. No, Jay is not moving to Corpus. No, siree. It's no. No offense to our Corpus friends and family, but ain't no way. I can't handle the humidity here, right? And that's like living in soup down there. So there's no way. I'm sorry, not doing it. Anyways, Tucson Sugar Skulls, pretty cool team. I like their logo and all that stuff. But again, it's kind of the whole Southwestern culture thing. And definitely look up, the Sugar Skulls and stuff because it's a really cool cultural thing to know about. But yes, so San Antonio will be checking out or will be playing against the Tucson Sugar Skulls. Hopefully that'll be a good game.
So there's 4 games left for the season for the San Antonio. I mean, at this point, obviously they're out of the playoffs. There's no chance they're making it. Just go out and have fun, and maybe ruin another team's chances.
Yeah. Well, and the last game of the season is against the Northern Arizona Wranglers, who arguably have as bad of a season, or have had as bad of a season rather. So it should be pretty evenly matched teams. So maybe it'll turn out to be a good game.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe they can end. Maybe they can end the season on a win.
Yeah. And then kind of give them an opportunity to boost the fan base back up and come back again at it next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so four games left, and then the IFL will be wrapping it up going into their playoff season. Speaking of playoffs, let's kick over to the NAL. Yes, because 2 weeks ago we didn't get to cover it, but Beaumont faced Omaha in the NAL championship. And that, again, we didn't get to watch the game, but looking back at the stats, man, that would have been a fun game to watch. That would have been worth the subscription if I were willing to pay that kind of money. But I'm not. So
I don't think the NAL has the subscription. I think they're still on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know who NAL streaming on.
You know who would know?
Our friend
guy Bobby Otten. Yeah. So Bobby, if you could share with the fans where they can find some of these places at to watch the games, like the IFL, for example, or NAL, if they are in fact still on.
Well, NAL's done, so
Well, right, but for future,
for future.
And then I'd say the AF1, but we're still not sure. Like they made it through a season, which surprised the heck out of us.
I mean, they got the championship game coming this weekend, so
yeah.
No, I don't know what it's streaming on, but
I don't know. But that's the one where they've got the weird name for the playoff, isn't it?
Yeah,
the championship,
the Arena Crown.
Yeah, the Arena Crown.
Which I like. Anyways, what you said. Sounds like some bottom shelf you get from the liquor store.
Mm-hmm. We've been there before, man. Don't act like you haven't. So, anyways, Beaumont did wind up beating Omaha, and it was a tight game. It looked really strong. Rushing was phenomenal from Beaumont. Looking back at rushing for Omaha, not so much for Omaha. So trying to, because we talked about this before, right? Quarterback and the running back. Normally, you don't get a whole lot of rushing in an arena game, but from this one, you had over 100 yards rushing. It looks like from the running back and the quarterback combined. So again, exciting game. It looks like.
Hell, the quarterback had
Um,
68 yards rushing himself.
yep. He averaged 5 yards per carry. The running back averaged 2 yards per carry. But he only had, or he had 16 attempts. So,
Yeah.
Hitting some defensive line there, I'm sure. But pardon me. But again, good game overall, the way you'd want a championship game to break down. And so, congrats to the Beaumont Renegades for taking home their first championship in the NAL this season. I know Beaumont has had teams off and on before. I don't know that they've been in the NAL before, but this iteration of the team
Yeah.
took home the championship, their first year in the league. So, congrats to them.
Yep. And I mean, they kind of, they were at the top of the league the whole season. So, good for them for actually kind of following through and keeping it up and winning the championship. So,
Robert, thank you for sharing, man. That's the kind of information that our fans definitely like to know. Vice TV and Evergreen app. The Evergreen, of course, is a subscription app. So, you know, might be worth, getting some buddies together. It's not that expensive. Woody, have a great night, man. We'll see you
thanks
soon.
for checking out, Woody.
Yeah. But maybe you guys can share an Evergreen subscription and then, keep yourselves updated on what's going on with your local arena team if you have one, or find one, right? Pick one out of the bunch. Going over to AF1, we are looking at the Arena Crown game, which should be coming up,
It's this weekend.
right?
It's on the
Yeah.
28th Saturday. So, and that's what I was
Okay.
talking about earlier. Castronova plays for Albany now in the AF1, which, of course, I mean, because he's Sam Castronova, he's playing, in the championship and, leading the league in freaking every stat. So,
Yep.
Albany against the Nashville Cats for the AF1 Arena Crown Championship. Still a stupid name. Still, it's not as dumb of a name as the Quad City Steamwheelers, but still a dumb name.
Yep. Now, I will say I have to counter what you just said. Castronova is not leading passing yards per game,
Oh, he's not.
but he is number 5 in the league with 173.5. Um, and he is number 3 in the league for total passing yards. But he is leading in touchdown passes, and
Okay.
decidedly. Like, number 2 is at 41, Castronova's at 48. So, I mean, to be that high up, he's doing pretty good. Now, uh, flip it over to rushing yardage. The same guy is leading the league in rushing yards per game, and rushing touchdowns, which is Jalen Morton, the quarterback for the Southwest Kansas Storm. That's your quarterback, man. That's not he's not a running back. So that's crazy. Um, and then of course you've got the receiving leader essentially is Dwayne Brown from the Albany Firebirds. Of course, you're getting thrown to by Castronova. You're going to be pretty much up there.
So I'm just
Um,
looking at the touchdown. So you've got the Jalen Morton. He's third in passing touchdowns with 40, and then he's first in rushing touchdowns with 17. So he's got 57 touchdowns just on his own.
yeah. Um, Mike's asking what mall the championship game is going to be at, and it's going to be at Bussey's Flea Market. So there. No, that's not true at all. But that would be funny if it was, wouldn't it?
I mean, it was at the mall last year, but
Yeah, when it
I
was.
forget where they're playing it this year. I know they had announced it, but yeah, I forget where it was at.
Uh, that's a good question. I don't know. Uh, I know they've talked about it. Trying to see if I can find it.
Oh,
Uh,
it's Albany, New York, MVP Arena is where they're going to be playing it in.
okay, so they're actually playing in an arena.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Well, that's nice. At least it'll be, in an arena somewhere. But yeah, so, you know, kind of moment of silence, hats off to our, Corpus Christi Tritons. I know they started out so super strong and they were just putting an absolutely killing on the league.
For
Uh,
3 weeks, and then the team just went to crap.
just imploded. Yeah, everything fell apart. So hopefully the move to the AF1 doesn't kill that franchise because I know they were doing great in the league that they were in, and they were trying to get into the NAL, which I think would have probably been a better fit for them. But it is what it is,
Yeah.
right? So hopefully that isn't the end of the Corpus Christi Tritons. Hopefully they bounce back and
This is just indoor football in 2025, which has been like indoor football for the last 10 years. Teams join, teams fold, teams go to leagues start, leagues fold. So yeah, I mean,
yeah,
hopefully they find their way back to some league, uh, and get back to it. Same and on the same token, same with Frisco. You know, uh, Frisco folded earlier this year. They were dominant and fun to watch. So
mhm,
it'd be nice to have them back.
yeah. Well, and so we did talk about the West Texas Warbirds. They are coming back next season, but they're going to be Amarillo, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly, which works out great because Amarillo had the Venom, and the Venom folded. So this might be a chance to kind of revive that franchise, at
yep.
least the name, right? So again, we'll see where they land once we get a little bit closer to next season, and just see kind of how things fall apart there. Um, but yeah, Robert, that's actually a pretty funny comment. But Walmart parking lot, that there's been at least one or two good, 80s concerts in those parking lots because those guys got to get their money and then go get their groceries for the week and then go back home. So um but yeah, other than that, I mean that pretty much wraps up kind of alternative football. And so as things are kind of winding down in Arena League and alternative football, we do have other leagues starting. The EFL, in fact, has already started. Um, and we don't really talk about that much because there isn't a Texas team and there aren't really a whole lot of Texas players represented there. But it is fun to watch and it does kind of fill that gap. So there will be something as we make the transition in there. Um, Here's your buddy, the Sheagles fan.
No, that's Jeremy.
What? What?
Jeremy's the one that's the Eagles fan, not John. Don't
Oh,
talk bad
I'm
about
sorry.
John like that. Come on, John. I
Oh,
apologize. I apologize for what he said to you.
that's right.
There's
Jeremy,
no
what
place
team do
for
you
anything like
represent?
that.
That way I can remember. Um, because that's a perfect segue to talk about the NFL, right? We have OTAs going on right now, and kind of figuring out things that are going on in the NFL. The NFL actually has a good article right now talking about kind of the most intriguing battle positions, or the position battles rather, uh, in 2025, right? And let me go back and bring this up because this is actually an older one. Um, but there's obviously some good stuff going on. Uh, Kind of what we're picking here. Uh, the wide receiver battles obviously going on in Green Bay, right? We've got Golden from Texas, which is he going to be our wide receiver one? Is he going to beat out some of the veterans? Are we going to have somebody that actually shows up from the veteran squad and actually does something this year. Uh, what's his name? Christian Watson, is he going to come back from injury? You know, there's that huge kind of what if, and is Jordan Love going to be able to make that connection and be able to throw to that guy and get some actual production? Or is this, the Jordan Love from 2024 again, where he's going to come in and battle injuries, and then we wind up going with number two, who winds up doing better, right?
Yeah.
So it, definitely some question marks there for Green Bay on the offensive side of the ball, and losing Jair Alexander, kind of a big deal, but it looks like we already have that figured out. We, have some potential replacements, and maybe we've got some, we're going to have a strong defense again this year. Meanwhile, it looks like Dallas Cowboys with their kind of revamped backfield. Who's going to be the star running back? Are we going to have somebody that emerges there, Brian, or what are we looking at on that side of the ball?
Man, I hope someone does. Last year was just such a crap show for running back, which actually it turned out that old Uncle Rico, he didn't have a terrible year. He ended up with over 1,000 yards, but um, and I just right now we've got Devontae Williams and Miles Sanders. Uh, you know, I like this running back room better than last year with Uncle Rico, Zeke, and Deuce Vaughn, who's now relegated to the fourth string running back. So if he makes the team, he'll probably be returner, stuff like that. But I think just to start, it's already an improvement from last year.
Yeah.
So
Another area to kind of keep your eyes on is that Houston Texans offensive line, right? They've made some upgrades there, and there could be some serious potential mix-ups there rather, uh, and we could be potentially looking at 4 new starters there. So that's definitely something you're going to want to keep an eye on also, to kind of see how the Texans stack that offensive line to protect CJ. One other thing to keep in mind, right? While it may not be that big of a quarterback battle, um, you've got the veteran in Joe Flacco going up against Shedeur Sanders. Now, chances are Shedeur is probably going to beat out Flacco, but that's not a guarantee, right? Shadeur's coming in with, college experience, no NFL experience. Joe Flacco's got like 1,000 years of NFL experience, but, he's 1,000 years old. So, what is the old wily vet going to beat out the young rookie, or is that youthful inexperience not going to hold back the raw talent of Shedeur Sanders, right? So that might be a good camp battle to watch as well. And then of course they're talking about the edge defenders for Dallas. There's potential battle brewing there as well. So with the pickups that you've got, go ahead.
I think as far as like our defense, our defensive line has struggled the last few years. We've had really good linebackers and stuff. But I think our biggest, right now there's a contract dispute, I guess, with Micah Parsons. He wants a new contract. He's not skipping OTAs or anything like that. He's still participating in the team event, so that's good. Hopefully they get that done, cleared out of the way. It's not like the freaking Dak, CD Lamb the last couple of years or whatever. I think, but going back to the line, the Cowboys they're having to replace Lawrence. It's a pretty big hole to fill, but they got some guys that could probably do it. And I'm kind of it's been so hit or miss with the defensive line for them. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I hope they're better, but we'll see. Like they haven't been great, but we'll see.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have to talk about it. Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron has officially signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We didn't get a chance to really talk about that last week. And then today on the Pat McAfee show, he was hinting towards this being his final year.
Yep.
Um, I I don't mean to speak ill of the guy. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I hope this is his final year. Now, I hope he goes out on top because, not last year, but the year before, he went out with that Achilles injury. And then last year he came back and it was not exactly a great year for him. I think he would have had a better chance making a bigger impact 2 years ago than he did last year with the
Yeah,
team
I
that he
think
had.
so.
Um, I don't think he's going to make that much of a difference when he goes to Pittsburgh either, right? Because again, chemistry, you know, his experience is great. Don't get me wrong, but he has no real relationship with anybody on the team. And yeah, it's great catching a pass from a legend, but if you don't know what he's thinking, how do you know you're going to catch that pass? You know what I mean?
I wonder how Rogers is gonna be with Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is notorious a hard ass coach who will get on you, get in you if you screw up, and Rogers doesn't like that. Rogers,
Well,
you know, so I'm curious to see the first time he throws a pick and you know Mike Tomlin goes and tears him a new one. How is he going to react?
didn't he get a coach fired in New York for that very thing?
Yeah,
So, I mean, I think you already know, like, that camp battle is not going to be for the quarterback position. It's going to be for who's going to control the team and who's going to control Aaron Rodgers,
yeah.
which I'm pretty sure we know what the answer is going to be is that nobody controls Aaron Rodgers, but Mike Tomlin isn't going to be told what to do either.
Mike
So there's
Tomlin's
going to
not
be a
gonna
lot of
not
fireworks.
gonna give up control of that team. So
Right. So um, I think I think the storyline there is going to be let's watch and see what the dumpster fire that Pittsburgh is going to be actually turns out to be,
yeah,
right? Because that's where the fireworks are going to happen. But yeah, so a lot going on with the movement in the NFL, the getting ready for preseason or the training camps, all that good stuff, and then going into the preseason. I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit before, especially with XFL Mike G. But there's obviously a lot of movement going around in college football as well. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there mention about UTSA potentially joining another league along with, or I'm sorry, another conference rather, because I don't have leagues, another conference along with Texas State and like two or three others?
so I think Texas State is not for sure, but there's a chance that they may move to the Pac-12. I also saw that UTSA was kind of a part of that rumor as well. I don't know if it's where it is as far as that, whether it's the Pac-12 just wants them and UTSA says nah, we're good, or what. So I saw it a couple places, didn't really care enough to look into it, so I didn't.
Okay. Um, so what AI is saying is that UTSA is not joining the Pac-12. They're staying committed to the American Athletic Conference, but Pac-12 does have Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State, and Gonzaga. But UTSA is not going there. And let's look at Texas State. uh, it opens the door for Texas State to join, but there's no updates necessarily saying that they're joining the Pac-12. Um, which honestly would not be bad for Texas State's program, right?
Yeah.
You get national eyes on, their program, and they've been doing really good, uh, with kind of filling those voids that the Big Ten kind of created for them, right? Big Ten kind of, uh, you know, picked a few of theirs, and the ACC picked a few of the teams out of the Pac-12, and so now they're kind of trying to fill some of those voids. So Texas State would not be a bad addition to that lineup. Um, they're in discussions, obviously with the Pac-12. They would be leaving, the Sun Belt conference, which would be again good for Texas State because they're going to a bigger, more well-known, more recognized, and more revenue generating conference, which would mean more revenue for Texas State's football program.
Yeah.
Uh, but it says here the exit fee is 5 million if they get it done before July 1st. If they don't, that exit fee then becomes 10 million.
Huh.
Right. So if they don't get it done by July 1st, chances are they're probably not joining the Pac-12.
And who knows? I mean,
Uh,
this could be a next year thing as well, too. So, you know.
yeah, it could be. The meanwhile, God dang it, uh, Incarnate Word and who's the other college? Why am I drawing a blank here?
Trinity?
You have, yeah, Incarnate Word and Trinity are going to be staying in the programs that they're in. You know, uh, but they're poised. Incarnate Word had a great run last year, and I think they won their conference championship, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll be staying where they're at, poised to potentially make another run at that championship game. And Trinity is Trinity. I mean, you know, what can you really say about that? Um, I know our friends just a little bit, east of town, uh, the Texas Lutheran, they're going to have a little bit different look because a lot of their team was seniors, and those seniors have graduated and moved on. So there may be a fresh new look coming from that team. A younger, faster, uh, more offense heavy. Uh, well, I can't really say that because Texas Lutheran did make the like the wild card game last year, but then got blown out in that one. Um, but they certainly did show up for that game for sure. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what that new look is going to be from Texas Lutheran as well. Um, and so obviously, there's some exciting things happening at the university level here in Texas. UT, there's a little bit of a going to be a different look from UT as well. Uh, how you thinking A&M is going to do this year?
Uh, we'll see. I think we definitely did better last year than people thought we were gonna at the beginning of the season. Um, kind of had a puncher's chance to make it into the 12-team playoff. Um, had to beat Texas, obviously. Lost a couple games in this season that we shouldn't have. But it was our first season with Elko as head coach, and he did some good things for the team, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does next. And we got a strong recruit class. I don't remember what number we were, but I'm pretty sure we were top 10, top 5. Um, I do know we just picked up a 5-star recruit for next season. So kind of getting a jump on that already. But man, I'm looking forward to this season. I think there were a lot of positive. Even the way the season ended, it kind of sucked, but man, there were a lot of positives from that season that the team can build on. So I'm looking forward to this coming season.
Well, and the nice thing for this upcoming season is that your final game is going to be in Austin against Texas,
Yeah.
right? The way the season should end,
I-
the way
I'm
it's
I'm
ended.
so glad that I know, because I know when they announced that UT was going to join the SEC, and we were going to fire up the rivalry again. Uh, A&M, for the last few years, A&M has always played LSU for our Thanksgiving game, and there were talks that they were going to keep that, and we were going to play UT earlier in the season, which is absolutely stupid. We need to play UT the last game of the season. That's standard across the board. Cannot change that. So I'm glad they came to their senses and did that. But
Yeah, it
remember,
looks like
remember who we're playing game number one.
I know. I'm excited, and I think we need to fire up the bus and
We
head
need
to
to get
Kyle
tickets to go
Field,
to that
man.
game.
Yeah. So, for the local fans here, if you guys are thinking about going to Kyle Field, let us know, and we may wind up being easily conned into that game, and just making a weekend out of it because what better way to open up the season than with some hometown homers there,
Absolutely.
and then of course BD rooting for his silly Aggies, you know. Uh, I I think that's going to be a good game for UTSA, right? It's going to be a good test for the team. I'm not going to venture any kind of a guess as to what's going to happen, but I think it'll be a true test for, the UTSA football program and Jeff Traylor. I mean, they played some really tough opponents, but to start out that tough at the beginning of the season, I think
Yeah.
that's going to set the tone for the rest of the year for UTSA. So, and hopefully, UTSA puts on a hell of a game and lets Texas A&M know, where their weaknesses are going to be for the season so they can make some adjustments and dominate their season as well. But just not against UT. Sorry. Right. Anyways, so yeah, there's some good stuff coming up, and like I'm looking at A&M's schedule right now. They've got a countdown timer on it. We're only 66 days away from the opening
Yep.
day. Uh, so it's getting closer. It's starting to get real. It's getting exciting, right? Those college programs should be starting real soon here if they haven't already. And we should start getting some more news about, basically updates coming from the college programs. High school programs should start, their training camps and stuff soon. So we should start getting some
Yeah. Usually
updates
they
on
start
that.
those mid July, early to mid July, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because they pretty much start the season, I think, towards the middle or end of August. No, I think it's probably towards the middle.
yeah.
Because school's already back in session. I know my kids go back like ridiculously early this year. I think they're going back like the second week of August already.
Oh, geez.
Um, yeah. So, but they also got off like a fairly early. I think their last day was like the last week of May,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So Comal does things a little bit differently. Um, so yeah, I mean that football program definitely is going to be starting fairly soon here. And then that high school program should be starting, within, a month and a half of that. So yeah, good stuff coming up. Obviously football is kind of, winding down in the traditional sense. Well, I say in the traditional sense, really in the alternative sense,
Yeah.
right?
The
And traditional
traditional ones are
football.
starting to wind back up here.
Yeah. So again, we've talked about it before, but this is a great time to be alive where you can be in a state as great as Texas and have football in some way, shape, or form all year round. So that was the whole premise of the show starting in the first place was that, we had football to talk about. And now that it's a reality, man, great time to be alive.
Absolutely.
So that being the case, I guess we can't end the show with our traditional, sign off that we do because the UFL's officially over. So there's no point in taking that shot.
I mean, I always got a shot for my most hated team. So you know what? Suck it, Philly.
There you go. And of course, I'm going to say suck at Chicago, Detroit, and Minnesota, but that's kind of a given. Anyways, that being the case, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I'm going to give a big shout out to, first of all, AFN and XFL Mike G for all the support and everything. Shout out to Bobby Otten and Sammy Sharp and all the guys over at Pro Arena Talk for always keeping us in the loop on everything going on with arena football. And of course, shout out to all you fans for watching us and putting up with us all these many years. Oh, look, right here. We didn't talk about this. First of all, Van, good to see you.
Yep.
And true, the only survivors of the IFA right now is the Ohio Valley Horsemen, or I mean Ironmen. Um, we didn't talk about the IFA because obviously the Texas team folded, and it's just all kinds of madness going on right there. So we don't know what's going to happen with the IFA. This is their inaugural season, and it has just been a train wreck.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely disastrous. So
yeah. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Oh yeah, and this is important to talk about, right? There is going to be a showcase for the UFL in September. They're probably going to do, or at least I'm assuming they're going to do like what they've done in the past. They'll have a couple of showcases in the fall for players to come out and show off for the scouts and get ready for that draft that the UFL has.
yep.
And then, of course, we'll have the actual UFL draft probably in December, just to kind of get ready. And hopefully this year, fingers crossed, like the only thing I want for Christmas is the UFL to start in February right after the Super Bowl. So we can have there you go. These are the teams that are left in the UFL. And I remember the Rebellion still being around because that's where James Harden is. Uh, and he actually just posted an interview that he did, which was pretty good interview. Um, but yeah, those are the teams that are left. There have been, many teams that have folded or left because of financial uncertainty with the IFA. So fingers crossed. Hopefully they get that figured out, or those players get an opportunity to land in a league that is a little bit more financially stable.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but that being the case, again, fans, thank you so much for watching. Can't tell you how much we appreciate you. This is episode 111 in the books, right? 111 episodes, 2.5 years of me and this guy talking about stuff and you guys suffering through it. So we appreciate each and every one of you. So that being the case,
Appreciate
guys,
everybody.
appreciate you. All
Y'all
right.
have a good one.
Go Pack, go. Oh, look, James Harden is in Duluth now. So I'll have to track him down. Uh, Chihuahua has exploded. I'm assuming that means in a good way, not like in, a bad way.
I think he means
Uh,
the Chihuahua Rebellion.
okay. Uh, anyways, appreciate you guys. We're signing out. Take care. Go Pack,
Later,
go,
guys.
baby.